Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. Guys, I told you I was going to review Impact, and I didn't. For a second show in a row, I have not reviewed or watched Impact, but I will. Lance Storm, you said if I give you guys a chance, it'll hook me. I watched Bound for Glory. It hooked me for a night. I loved it. But there's just so much good wrestling, so much little time. I'm actually recording this at 6:30 a.m. I'm going to the mountains for my one day off all week. So the fact that I've been able to squeeze in Triplemania, the fact that I was able to squeeze in AEW is impressive. I've impressed myself here with the amount of wrestling I've watched. I wish I could say that about other people in my life. I don't usually impress them with the amount of wrestling I watch. I usually scare them or shock them. But even at that, I still wasn't able to squeeze an Impact. But I was able to find out that Ace Steel is gone. CM Punk rumored to be gone as well. AEW trying to buy out the remainder of CM Punk's contract is what Dave Meltzer says. There is an issue with the non-compete. They do not want him to go back to the WWE. I honestly don't think he wants to go back to the WWE. He seems to give Hunter a lot of shit last time he was there, and now that he's proven himself injury prone, I don't know if the WWE really wants him back either. WWE has got a lot of positive momentum now. I don't know if Punk would help or hurt all that. People are saying that the WWE didn't realize how much Punk meant to the fan base until he debuted at AEW. That's kind of hard to believe. We were all chanting his name literally at the decision makers for years. Video game cover Hall of Fame run. I can see that maybe a few years down the line, get that whole presentation that Ray got, Sting got, I think Goldberg, a few others. Dave brings a good point that Punk is close to both Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman, though. So, he's not too close to Triple H, but yeah, he is close to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman running OVW when he was there. Adam Pearce running the roads, doing the indies with him for decades ago. That would be a crazy end to the crazy year that 2022 has been for the world of pro wrestling. I mean, look at everything that's happened. I mean, Inoki's passing, Triple H retiring, or not Triple H retiring, but Vince McMahon retiring, Triple H taking over, Punk leaving AEW, the Elite fighting CM Punk, Stone Cold having a match, Ric Flair having a match. This has been an insane year for pro wrestling. And I think it might get a little bit more insane if we see that CM Punk is going back to AEW. If I'm not mistaken, his injury will heal right around WrestleMania time. So you want to talk about, sending the crowd home happy. You have The Rock and Roman Reigns, and then you also have a CM Punk debut. But last weekend, Triplemania took place. And I watched it over the week. I know I'm like a week late, but it was a great show, Triplemania. I watch it. I try to seek it out every year. This year there was like 3 Triplemanias, and we'll get to that a little later because it all culminated over what we saw in the main event here. The pageantry this year was great. The band playing a number of the wrestlers' theme songs before the show kind of got going. The drumline made its way to ringside, highlighting old Triplemanias, honoring those who have died. Ray with a selfie promo for whatever reason. But then Conan at one point gets attacked right in the ring while he's cutting a promo. He gets attacked by members of the faction Viper, who I assume are led by the guy who is super over here, Super Netico, who looks like Roman Reigns if Roman Reigns lived the lifestyle of Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He is super over in Mexico, just like I already said, and a bit of a legendary status at this point. The family of Rudo Riviera was honored. Blue Demon was honored. The stuff beyond the matches were good as well, but hey, the matches were fucking awesome. I ranked every single match from worst to first from this show. Number 6, it's down this far because it was just short. Dragon Lee, Dralistico versus Aries and Willie Mack versus Marias Jr. and Commander versus Toxin and Legato. Willie Mack dancing off the bat, just getting the whole crowd hype. I was in a coffee shop watching this, and it was pretty embarrassing. I had to be, looking around to see who was watching me watch this, fat black dude dancing his ass off in his underwear in front of thousands of adoring Hispanics. I would definitely, it would definitely get me to do a double take if everyone else is, typing, their emails or on Zoom or something, and this one guy is watching Triplemania, Willie Mack dancing. This was a good match, but a short match. Dragon Lee and Dralistico win, so they are going to face FTR down the line for the the AAA tag titles. Number 5 out of 6, Psycho Clown, Laredo Kid, and Bandito versus Cezanne Culero and Ferretti. So, excuse me, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. These guys are known as NGD versus Johnny Caballero, Brian Cage, and Sam Adonis. Johnny Caballero, also known as John Morrison. Bandito press slamming Brian Cage at one point. Cage jumped on to Bandito's thighs, his feet were on his thighs. He fell back and then just kind of launched Bandito over the top rope onto pretty much everyone else. This spot was awesome. There was a lot of wrestlers here that I thought would be, more highly showcased. Bandito, Cage, Laredo Kid, Psycho Clown. But I guess if they're all in one match, they are highly showcased. John Morrison rides around on a toy horse. Chavo, eat your heart out. He kicks Laredo Kid right in the dick and balls. 1, 2, 3. They get the victory. Number 4, Supernetico and Pagano. Supernetico, of course, attacking Conan before the match even took place. This match was kind of crazy here. The faction Viper was out there just helping Supernetico the entire time, making damn sure it wasn't a fair fight. Was out there, both men bleeding. Pagano kept catching his feet on the dive, so these dives were kind of he would run, he would dive, but he wouldn't shoot out like the rest of the luchadors. It was real bad when he was diving, and you could tell he was supposed to go through a table, but he just fell short and fell right on his ass. That looked stiff. Vampiro comes out. They battle up the ramp. Conan and Vampiro have a stare down, but they move on to help Pagano. They chase off the other members of Vico. Pagano and Supernetico go through the stage here. Pagano landing on top of them. 1, 2, 3. Pagano gets the victory. Number 3 out of 6, Taya Valkyrie versus Camille. This match was so sick on the NWA pay-per-view that it was brought over to Triplemania. Ty bleeding early. Camille wearing her blood like she was a wide receiver in the 90s right under the eyes. That was kind of cool. That set the table, that set the tone of the match, and then they set up a table, but they didn't go through the table. Mexican wrestling, Japanese table here. Taya taps out Camille. Taya is super over in Mexico. It makes you wonder why she even tried to go to WWE in the first place. They love her here. Money talks, but man, I would have a hard time leaving all this to go to NXT. But I guess it might have been a fun little run for her. Number 2 out of 6. This was the main event match. Pentagon versus Villano 4. Villano 4, Villano 4, you would remember him from, Monday Night Nitro. He goes back a while. The whole family goes back even further than that. This match wasn't the best technical match, but the big fight feel and the mass versus mass match at Triplemania, and the culmination of a year-long tournament where the loser advances and eventually gets to this match here where a mask is on the line. Villano rips Pentagon's mask, Penta bleeding, Penta comes back and rips his mask. Strike battle, Penta goes through a table, Pentagon snaps the arm, 1, 2, Villano kicks out, it does it again, 1, 2, 3, Pentagon wins. People are in the audience are crying. The rest of Villano family comes out. Phoenix comes out. He demasks and he says the persona is no more. Damn, that hit me deep. Because I mean, you see these guys like, he's come across as larger than life because they have these like superhero-like attributes because you only know them for that mask. And when they take it off, especially, looking aged and weathered, looking legendary, like Villano 4 was looking, it kind of just goes to where you're just a normal person. A lot of people have a hard time, pulling off, legendary status after that. I mean, Ray kind of did it, but he had to put it back on. Supernetico did it, but he kind of always reminds people that he was the guy in that mask. Even when he was attacking Conan, he came out wearing that mask prior to the attack and before the match. Dr. Wagner Jr., I remember that was a big Triplemania a few years ago. He demasked, and I think, he's a fun, arrogant heel now, but he wasn't on this show. And you kind of do lose a little bit of luster when you take that mask off. But the moment that you do will live in infamy forever. I would have to say every time someone demasks at Triplemania, it's as big of a deal as Taker losing the streak every single time in AAA. And I'm not just saying bullshit here, man. Every time I've watched these matches, I only watch 1 to 2 AAA shows a year. And every time I see someone demask, even if I really didn't even know who they were, even if I've only seen them in a few matches prior, it hits you home. They show the crowd, people are crying, they're usually crying, members of their family are in the ring crying, they can't believe it. And just like Villano 4 said, the persona, the thing that they've spent decades building, is no more and falls apart in such beautiful fashion as someone demasking at Triplemania. I'm getting all choked up here just thinking about it. But I got to jump to AEW. We got to talk about Dynamite. We got to talk about Rampage. But before that, let's get into what happened between the matches here. A great video package for the main event on Dynamite. FTR wants the AEW title shot. Swerve and Our Glory have kind of come out and said that they're the rightful owners of the number one contender shot at the tag title, so we're going to get a good match here. I think that these guys are going to kill it. Lethal and Sanjay Dutt attack Darby in the back. I like this attack. They ran Darby into that metal roll-up door, and a lot of times that metal roll-up door, you see this spot a lot, it goes all the way to the ground, but they opened up a little bit, so therefore Darby was able to take a better bump, swinging his legs out from under him. And then they were able to lock in the figure four and shut that door back on them. I think that was kind of a cool, fresh take on something we see all the time, because these roll-up doors are in like almost every arena. So every time you see someone get attacked, I can see their mindset. They're like, okay, we'll just run them into this thing. It'll make a cool sound because it's metal. But the way it just goes all the way to the ground, no one's going to go splat like Wile E. Coyote. They kind of put their knees in the way, and it never looks as good as maybe you would think it would look coming up with ideas for a wrestling show. But then they open it up, and Darby's able to hit it and have his legs swing out from under him, and it looks super good and still makes that sound. I think Darby is used to whooping his own ass, and he might have given that idea to do that. Regal in the ring. MJF interrupts. MJF goes into sharing emails that Regal and him went back and forth on when he was 19, so about 7 years ago, and how Regal initially liked him and told him to stay in touch, and then kind of cut bait with him, saying, you got to be one of the best athletes in the world. Call me or connect with me when that happens. And MJF said that this is something that made him want to kill himself, and he really kind of opened up here just as much as he opened up when he was talking about CM Punk and him, being friends with CM Punk and being called Jew Boy in school and things like that. MJF is really good at pulling out relatable shit. still while, having, the underlying notes of being a shithead. I've heard it being called like his origin story. Now we know a little bit more about his origin story. It's going to turn him face even more than he already is. Then Regal hits the rebuttal, bringing up his beginnings into the wrestling industry, not naming it, but talking about the Butland camps when he was 16, and if you want to be the devil, show the world. And then he turns around and doesn't get attacked by Regal. So this kind of is foreshadowing for what happens later on. We'll get to what happens later on, but I like that because MJF is, we're finding out a little bit more of his origins, and then we're kind of seeing that he's not as bad as people think. But every time we give MJF the benefit of the doubt, he proves that he is as bad. So this is going to be pretty interesting here. I'm pretty excited about the match that gets announced later on in the evening. Renee Paquette, sit down. Why not JR? I don't know, kind of lame. Brian Danielson, talking up Garcia. Yuta pissed, kind of saying like, hey guys, I joined here and here you are talking to my rival. This was good, but compared to the MJF Regal stuff, it wasn't shit. Going to Rampage, well-produced promo with Jade and Tony Schiavone sitting down in the back. I didn't miss JR here. This was more of a reality show, confessional type feel, I think, rather than the sit-down interview that Renee Paquette was doing with the Blackpool Combat Club. She was going to hold the show hostage. Security had to come out there. She whooped up on security. It was a cool look. I feel like Jade has a cool look. I put up a poll saying out of the wrestlers who have only wrestled in AEW, who is better, Hook or Jade? A lot of people picked Hook, and I think that's kind of I think it's bullshit for to be honest. Lucha Brothers Ortiz have like kind of an intervention with Kingston, saying he's not acting right, and then Pac kind of shows up, agrees with the Lucha Brothers Ortiz, but kind of lays in the truth a little bit too hard. Kingston takes exception to that, and Pac walks off. I don't know really what that is here, but if we're getting Pac and Kingston again, sign me up. Roosh and Tin, they're in the back, and long story short, Cassidy is the bartender, tries to give him a drink. They don't want a drink, they want the title. And he pulls it out of the backpack that he's carrying it with. And we get a three-way later on in that night. I thought that was a fun skit here. It's kind of shot like you would see it shot for Being the Elite, which I think they need to do more, because Being the Elite is how this show, how all of AEW, the popularity of Being the Elite is what helped push AEW to existing. So they need to have more things like that for this show. This show is also taking place in Daly's place, once a prison, but I think they can make it a palace, kind of halfway between Corrigan Hall and AEW or ECW Arena here. The crowd was hot, kind of like a little bit of home turf vibe for this Rampage. But going into the matches, we're ranking every single match from worst to first, all 8 matches. They didn't have too many matches on Dynamite. I think they were fearful of the Yankees going over into their time, so they didn't want to have too many matches, and I think it fit well. I like not as many matches, because then you can have cool things like that MJF Regal promo, and I mean the Bryan Danielson and Yuta thing was pretty good as well. Hook versus Daivari is the worst match. It was still an okay match. Daivari, a 205 Live original with VSK, the guy I first saw in Uncharted Territory from Beyond Wrestling. He's out there. Beyond Wrestling, great company. Watching them is pretty cool. It's not, they don't have too many like bloody matches, and you get a good feel for who's you're going to see on AEW Dark coming up. Daivari trying to pay Hook. Hook slaps the money out of his hands, and then they just kind of do spots on the money. That was kind of a cool look. I think maybe I underrated this match here a little bit because of that money thing. Daivari is a good hand, JR says. Hook chokes him out. Number 7 out of 8. Willow and Layla with Kiera Hogan from the Baddies. Cartwheel by Willow. Hogan on the apron. Trying to distract Willow, doesn't work. Roll up from Lily, 1-2. Dr. Bomb, 1-2-3. This finisher is why I put it above the Hook match initially, and it was pretty nasty now that I'm remembering it, reading into my notes. Tony announces that Willow Nightingale is officially all elite. Number 6 out of 8, the Acclaim versus the Varsity Athletes. Caster blasts NXT for losing in the ratings on Tuesday. The Varsity Athletes name alone is kind of like the final nail in the coffin, I think, for the Varsity Blondes. That's one of the benefits you have of having a live Rampage is you can talk shit about things that happened during the week instead of having to wait maybe a little bit over a week to where the jokes really wouldn't fit. Ref throws out Billy Gunn. Sterling's still out there. Sloppy double team from the Varsity Athletes. Caster breaks it up by hitting a spear into Woods. Mic drop 1, 2, 3. The Acclaim get the victory. Number 5 out of 8. This feels weird to rank it, but it was pretty good prior to the incident, the injury that happens. Hangman Page versus Mox, the main event of AEW Dynamite. Yes, this match, shitty ending, like I said, but this was great before that. Hangman Page does a moonsault off the tunnel before the match begins. Mox bleeding before the bell. Figure 4 cutter. Mox in control. MJF watching from a suite, but then eerily is gone when they try to show him again. I like that. Deadeye off the apron. Fall away slam off the top rope. This is getting a bit crazy, but no one got hurt here. Hangman Page in control, and then all of a sudden he gets hit with the huge lariat. And he falls on his head the wrong way. This sucks. The ref and the paramedics came out and they called the match. I hope he's okay. I hope, if he's not okay, I wish him the best. Regal comes out and I think has to kind of tell Mox what they're doing because the plans kind of changed after that point. Sucks Hangman Page got hurt. Once again, I hope he's okay, and if he's not okay, I hope he gets well soon. MJF comes out and teases a match between Mox and him, and then kind of thinks better of it and books it for Full Gear. So the main event of Full Gear, MJF versus Jon Moxley. The Elite, Punk, Hangman Page all dropping, but we still get a great title match for Full Gear, MJF and Mox. And I think, everyone knows Mox wanted to go on vacation, but then he couldn't go on vacation because he had to put the company on his back. But I think MJF is going to relieve him of those duties, and I think Mox can finally go on vacation. And Renee Paquette, or whatever her name is, she just came into the company, but I can see her taking a little bit of a leave of absence while MJF and his promos hold down the entire company, while it seems like 4 or 5 or 6 of their big stars are gone, possibly forever. Toni Storm versus Shida, number 4. Shida hits the Meteora, but can't hit the Falcon Arrow. Running hip attack from Storm. Shida hits and catches a suplex. German 1, 2, no. Shida kicks out. Storm 0, 1, 2, 3. Toni Storm gets the victory. Death Triangle versus Best Friends. Strong 0 hit. This is number 3. Strong 0, 1, 2. Phoenix breaks it up. Hits a double cutter. Pile driver by Phoenix 1, 2, 3. Phoenix was the best part of this match, but this wasn't the best match from Phoenix this week. I think I forgot to fucking talk about it. The number 1 match from Triplemania, Phoenix versus Vikingo. Wow, I was so enthralled over the mass versus match. I didn't talk about the best match on the show. I can't fucking believe it here. But we're going to get to it. We're going to talk about it right now. We're jumping all over the place, much like Phoenix and Vikingo jumped all over the place during this match. This match was by far the best match on the show. Vikingo in control, tearing the mask of Phoenix, shooting off the apron, plancha off the top, reverse Spanish fly off the second from Phoenix. This is just an insane match. Inverted frog splash, 1, 2, no. 630 into the ring, running down the ramp from Vikingo, 1, 2. Phoenix will not die. Phoenix tells Vikingo to suck it just randomly throughout the match. That popped me. Crazy pile driver, 1, 2, no. Neither man can put the other man away. Inverted 450, 1, 2, 3. Vikingo gets the victory. Great match. Wow, I can't believe I missed that match. It was literally the best match on Triplemania, but I jumped to AEW a little too soon. But number 2 out of all the matches that have happened in AEW this week, Cassidy versus Rush versus 10, the main event of Rampage. Cassidy in the same screen as Mark Henry to kick things off. I thought that was hilarious. And then he tried to steal Mark Henry's catchphrase, which was hilarious. Rush and 10 go at it right away as the bell sounds. Lazy kicks by Cassidy to kind of break up Rush and 10 going at it. Rush starts beating both wrestlers with the cord. Vintage Rush here. Cassidy dives in, gets caught in a double choke slam, thrown on a table, not through the table. Much like Ty and Camille, he does not break the table. AEW Wrestling Japanese table, it looks like. Back in the ring, stun dog to 10, DDT to Rush, Champ feeling it, 1-2, Jose pulls Cassidy off. Danhausen comes in the ring, curses Jose, huge lariat to Rush, from Rush, 1-2, no, Cassidy ends up rolling up 10 for the victory, 1-2-3. Number 1 out of 8 big matches on AEW Dynamite. We have Dalton Castle versus Chris Jericho. The entrance of Dalton Castle was ridiculous here, hilarious, complete with the boys. I didn't like how the boys didn't have their ROH 6-man titles on. Only Dalton Castle had his on. They won those things fair and square. They got to be showing those things off. And then the bell rings. Dalton Castle flicks off Jericho instead of shaking his hand to start things off, adhered to the code of honor. Then they just start launching the boys at Jake Hager. The boys get the better of Hager until they take his hat off, his bucket hat, given to him by Jericho that Garcia turned down. And then he goes crazy, destroying all of them, saying, "Don't touch my hat." Walls of Jericho to Dalton Castle. Dalton gets to the ropes. Judas effect, 1, 2, 3. Chris Jericho retains, and then he says no more Ring of Honor announcers, refs, or even commentators. Tries to take out Ian Riccaboni. Jerry Lynn comes out and saves Ian Riccaboni, but hurts himself in the process, taking a pile driver from Chris Jericho. Dang, what a match. What a fun week in wrestling. Go out of your way to watch Triplemania. Go out of your way to watch some of these good matches in AEW. I mean, they were all pretty good. Have fun watching wrestling, as I always do, and always fly high. I'm out.